There are exciting times on the horizon in terms of our 1960 John Deere 430 standard restoration project. We are close to being able to mount our rebuilt final drives to our rebuilt transmission unit. But before we can do that, we have to address the brake assemblies which ride in between those two on a standard model, utility, special, maybe a high crop. The actual axle passes through the brake unit and it's sort of incorporated into a little compartment between the final and the transmission. In a row crop utility or tricycle tractor, there's actually a separate housing ahead of the axle that houses the brake unit. The brake components are all essentially the same. Subtle difference, but we'll go over that here in a second. So on a tricycle, or in this case a row crop utility tractor, the brake mechanism is housed in its own separate little compartment ahead of the actual final drive axle. There is a little stub shaft that ties into the ring gear of the differential. Tooth contact, there's a smaller gear that drives a larger bull gear on the back, and then there's a continuation of that shaft where the brake discs and the actuator sit in this little compartment. It makes servicing the brakes a little bit easier on a tricycle and a row crop utility. I imagine space just wasn't available on the standard, the utility, to have this sort of setup put in place. You see where our little actuator rod comes down, where the brake pedal pushes down on that to engage our brakes. And then just to complete our explanation, this is what that shaft looks like that sits up in the differential, contact with the big bull gear for the final axle, and then of course our brakes, just one disc for showing purposes, that will be inside this mechanism here. So there you go, differences between row crop utility, tricycle, and our standard utility vegetable tractors. Not a big project, but an important one. We don't want brakes as optional equipment. We want them to work and work well. So let's wander over to what we've got laid out over here so we can begin the process of making these new again. This is one of the brake units from our original tractor. I've gone ahead and cleaned up another set that was on the other side already. But for informational purposes, these would be from a standard utility. This one is from a tricycle or row crop utility. And the difference lies in this little piece of hardware here at the bottom. Tricycle row crop utility have an integral, almost like a yoke unit that incorporates into this linkage here. On a, again, standard utility vegetable tractor, there is a separate little stud that screws in to a threaded acceptor yoke up in here. And it is supposed to be straight. It's not supposed to be bent. I'm going to try and correct that, of course. You can still get these through John Deere, but they're about 85 bucks a piece, so we are definitely going to try and save what we have. And the mechanism of action is when you depress your brake pedal, it pulls down on our, I guess, our little threaded rod. The nut that's on here is up against the brake pedal, pulls down, and it pulls these linkages down. In a sense, squeezes our two plates. And when we squeeze our two plates, like so, what happens is the brake unit expands because there are a set of brake balls on the inside there that the plates roll against, and that puts pressure on our brake disc, which then puts pressure either against the final or the transmission case itself. So it's kind of how they work. They're not too complicated. We'll pop a couple springs off, take a couple nuts off, clean things up, and get them to make new again. For disassembly of our brake unit, we're going to start with our little stud down here at the bottom. It's usually a 5/8. There is a lock at the top of it that one end is flattened down against the little yoke up here, and the other's tapped down against the I guess the stud itself, I've like this. Yeah, this guy's pretty loose. Usually these guys have come out pretty easily. I'll worry about the lock later when it comes time to put everything back together. But stud, lock, we'll definitely try and straighten him out. And then we have our little yoke, which is held in with this little cotter key. Give him a squeeze. Pull him out. And it's a matter of getting our little pin out of here, and a little bit of crud in there, so we may have to tap. Let's see if we can. There we go. Get him out. Okay. Put him back in there. And then these little linkages here are just held in with I guess a special bolt. I believe that's a 1/2-inch wrench. Again, I'm working for the camera and kind of working against myself in terms of physics and stuff here, so having this in a vise would make this a lot easier, and I think we are going to get to that point when it comes to taking our springs out. So one little linkage. Quick and easy. So now we got to pull our springs. There's going to be a little more tension on those. So we're going to run over to the vise and have it help us with that part. Now, like most things, I'm sure there's a right way and a wrong way to do the job in terms of removing these springs. I'm going to use my little hooky-do to attempt to slide up underneath our little opening here. This is a good time to have safety glasses on if you have them. And gently I'm going to pull out and release. And we'll do the same thing on the opposite side. You really only have to remove the spring from one side, technically. This one's got a little more tension on him. There we go. And release. And then, just got to be careful not to lose your balls on the inside there. And we are ready to head over to the cabinet blaster and, well, we'll get some of the greasy stuff off first, but then to the blast cabinet, clean these parts up and get them all nice and pretty. We've run our brake parts through the blast cabinet, the actuator mechanisms anyway, and we went ahead and polished the little brake balls up with some vintage wheel polish. And to put them back together, it's as simple as putting the balls in the little receptacles on one disc, bringing the other plate over on top, making a nice little brake actuator sandwich. I'll do that on both of these. And then we are going to take that little field trip over to the vise and put our springs back in place on each of these. And to seat our springs, we're going to once again utilize our little hooky tool. Kind of go up underneath. Try not to pull this at yourself and gut yourself with the hook. once I have him started up there, I can probably just give him a little tap. Boop. There's one. Do a little flip. Even a little easier. So we are just starting him on the edge and taking our little hammer and tapping into place. So that's one set. We'll repeat on the other side. Okay, we are ready to put our linkages back in place, and at times like these it's helpful to go back and refer to old pictures or have a rusty original to see that the linkage goes on this side, and I really don't think that it matters which one goes on which side, because I think these things are sort of universal in how they fit. We may have to give a little bit of a tap. Get started. Linkages in. Fit those together there. Put in our new cotter pin. And just like that, we have a refurbished actuator assembly. So we will duplicate our efforts over here on the other side again. Okay, two nicely refurbished brake actuator assemblies. Our surface here is going to, of course, come in contact with a brake disc, and I've seen two different styles of brake disc using the Dubuque tractors I've messed with. One is a smooth disc, the other has little recesses cut out of the disc itself, and I don't know how much it matters one way or the other. It's not like these are high performance, fast speeds that we're slowing down. I think what matters most is the thickness of the brake disc. So I'll probably go through my box of extras and see whichever one is the thickest. These were our originals. I think there is a difference in, let's say, standard, utility. Those are going to be the same. Probably vegetables going to be the same, but your tricycle, your row crop utility, I do think this spline count is different on the inside, where the disc sits on the axle or the drive that comes out of the transmission. So we'll source up some good discs with our actuators together. I can now show you how they will fit with our transmission case here. And what we're going to do is start with a brake disc, and this is not final assembly, this is just for demonstration purposes, but we'll have a brake disc in first. Actuator assembly goes in next, and then before we take our final and put it on, we're going to put another brake disc on the axle shaft in the final. These teeth are going to line up with splines on the axle shaft. That axle shaft will also line up the splines on this inner disc. Snug it all up on there. I was able to straighten one of our little studs. This will go on after the final's in place, and then you can see that when we pull down, our brake to pedals depressed, pulls down on this yoke, it will spread our actuator apart, putting pressure both against the transmission case and the final housing itself, creating our stopping action. So that'll do it for brakes. I appreciate you watching as always. Next time around, maybe we jump into some bigger reassembly of final drives, maybe the hydraulic unit, start putting some big chunks back on to make it look more like a tractor again. But that's going to do it for today. Thanks again, and until next time.